Hey everybody, Bill in Virginia. Welcome back. Well, I've got some of the materials I need to get back to work on the layout. This is 2 sheets of 1-inch pink foam board. I broke them in half already just for storage. So I've got enough to potentially do the rest of the layout. We'll see how that goes. Over here, I did get in something that I ordered on eBay. And this is going to be a little scene in one of the woods. This is the reason why my narrow gauge trestle is so interesting. I think some of the engineers and construction guys found the mash that was coming out of this still. So a really nice little model. Company put it together, 3D printed, really good. I don't have to do anything with it except paint. So that'll come up later. But for right now, I'm going to shift over. I've almost got those 2 big trees ready to go that I was talking about in the last episode. So I'm going to start working on those some more and show you as I get real close to finishing those up. Hey, Thursday night, and I got a box of sculpt mold. So I can start working on scenery again. I'm a happy camper. So I am finally at the point where I have built one of the large old trees. So trunk is done. I've got the super tree material on top, and you can see how I did the individual armatures. So I've got them up, and then I used my heat shrink, and then I stuck in anywhere from 1 to 2 pieces of super tree material per piece. I let my super glue dry just a little bit, and then I came back in with my soldering iron and just heated up the shrink wrap or shrink tubing, heat shrink, so that it form fit around the trunks. I get a pretty decent looking tree. So this side on the left will be the one that's going to be overhanging the track if it goes into that position, or overhanging the track if it goes in this way. So what I'm going to do now is take an old brush. I'm going to paint on wood glue in here and up through here, and then I will sprinkle more ground foam on it, and then once that sets a little bit, I can take the whole thing out and I can spray paint it. And after that part, I will come back in and I will drill a hole in the bottom and add a nail, clipping the top off so that I can stick it into foam board and it'll stay. Right now I'm just kind of cradling it in the handles of that nipper until I get done with the next step. I also build a couple of more of the smaller ones using sort of my firecracker trunks. Those I need to paint yet, but those can go onto the layout as well. And you see I've got some super tree material just sort of sitting out here in different spots so that I can grab it, and those will be going on to that trunk. So more to come on this, but these will be on the layout in this episode. Right, I've got the glue painted on and ground foam added to where I put the heat shrink, and it looks pretty good. I'll let this sit for a little while, and then it's time to paint, and then I will be ready for the final step, which is to put the scenic material on for the leaves. I also added a nail down at the bottom, drilled a hole in it, clipped the head off of the nail, put that in. Right now that's in with super glue, so I'm going to let it dry for a little bit. That makes it real easy to plant this on foam board. So next step, what you see, I should have it painted. Tree is painted. Next step is to get the hairspray out, give it a good soak, and give it some leaves. There we go. The tree is in position, and I think I will leave it there. I think that looks pretty good. So a really nice, big, fluffy, deciduous tree. I will add some more of the super tree material in the back of it to kind of form that backdrop transition right in here. Start working on the other tree. That'll go behind this one. And then this one, like I said, I'm going to relocate. But I can start to get this area done. Now that I got the other sculpt mold, I get my plaster out, I can get this little piece done fairly soon before I really get started on a lot of other stuff. But I'm gonna get the other tree built and put into place here. So you'll see that as well in this video. All right, second tree is done, at least for the fabrication piece. So between 2 to 3 super tree pieces per large branch. This is a nice old tree. It's got a decent shape to it. So I have to get some paint. I used up, I think, my last camo brown. I'm gonna have to look. Maybe I've got another one. But once I do get this painted, this one will be layout ready as well. You know, I'm not sure exactly how I'll set it in. You know, something like that looks kind of good. We'll see. I'll figure out here in a little bit. Well, I am wrapping up a Thursday evening, and I've got my deciduous trees in place. So over here is the one that I was just working on. It's in its position. Over here, I've got actually the three smaller ones that sort of come around here. So I'm going to do more super tree material along the backdrop, like what I did to cover the arch, so that I can build that out and make it look more like a thicket along there to kind of hide and blend in more of where you can kind of see the arch poking through. But that's going to cover most of it. So I can do some groundwork in this area. As I've been saying in a number of segments, I've got to put a little plaster up here so that I can do some carving to match it up with what I've got over here. So I will be able to get this area done in this episode. I don't think I'm going to have any problem with it. Might even be able to get the track painted in this part of a little scene before I move on. We'll see what I can do here as I progress. But I'm happy with this. It blends in well, looks pretty good. So another patch of deciduous trees down there, and let's kind of step back. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Time to go on to something else. So Friday after work, and I'm going to open up that new box of sculpt mold, and I'm going to get busy here. So one of my viewers gave me the idea of using like saran wrap in between here to build up the scenery. I talked about that in a previous video. So I got a piece just kind of tossed in here, and I'm going to give that a shot. I'm going to get some sculpt mold made up, and I'm going to go on this side first and then pull the paper over to that side, kind of moosh it in place, and then do some more sculpt mold over on this side so I can get this done. We'll see how that works. This shouldn't take too long, so I'm going to get the box opened up, mix up a batch, and get started. Well, later Friday night, and the reason you see the big crack there is I do have the tables separated just a little bit. I've got the bolts loosened. I won't necessarily disconnect them all because I don't really want to disconnect the wires. But you can see the scenery panel. My backdrop is separated. Nice, smooth, about 1/8 of an inch there. You know, a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch all the way across. So I did that just so that this stuff will dry, and you can see it's moving. Dry and not stick. Then tomorrow I can actually probably come in and I can finish some of this off. I will put additional, this time wax paper, between what I've got already here once it dries, so that I can do the staining and other things, because I know the wax paper, the stain will not damage it. I really don't know about saran wrap, so I'm not going to take a chance. But I've also got rock units added in a few spots up here, just to kind of highlight. And then I've got, again, rock units along this piece up until, whoops, no pink foam board. So I've got to do a little bit more. And you know what? I put plaster on that a little while ago, and I didn't carve it. I got to see if I can still work it. Otherwise, I might have to add another layer to that and then carve. Oh, well, let's see if I can fix it. And a minute later. It's definitely easier to carve when it's wet than dry, but all I wanted was a little hint of rock. The rest of it's going to be vegetation, trees around it. So just a little bit of rock hint coming through. You know, it's the same on some of these other areas that there's going to be more ground cover and the rocks are going to be hidden behind trees. But, you know, if you can see little glimmers of them, you're going to see some rock. So all in all, I'm happy with where I'm at right now for Friday night. Been able to make some good progress since I got my materials. Next thing is, I don't know. Probably tomorrow I will pull out the stain and get some of this done. Or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. Maybe. Yeah, Saturday morning, and just a little while before the Back on Track show starts. So I've been out and I have done my staining on at least what I've got done so far. So using the same method, using wood stain, painting it on, letting it sit for a little bit, and then taking paper towels and wiping it off. Gives me a variety of colors and mixes. Makes the rock carving stand out really well. So yeah, I'm happy with this. Now you will notice subtle changes between the two modules. So you can't get colors to align perfectly unless you do it all at the same time. And I'm not going to do that. I like doing pieces at a time and going from there. So in this area where there's the seam, I've put the layout back together, and my tracks align, and I checked everything on that. So this is the seam. This will pull apart. So I'm going to be using polyfiber in areas, as well as a mix of super trees, ground cover, and everything else along here to camouflage that seam. A lot of this off color that you're seeing along in here, well, in fact, all of it's going to be hidden. It's going to be covered up with other stuff, trees, brush, again, view block, so that you're not going to see it. And I can touch up on some of this stuff with paint before I get going too far. I've got some Mississippi mud, color acrylics, and again, I'm going to blend that all in. But areas that are, again, flat are going to have vegetation, so that's all going to be hidden. Areas in here, there's going to be trees coming up. Down in the bottom, I've got a good separation between track and the bluff. So there's going to be a lot of trees and brush and materials coming up. So a lot of the rock, like right in, at least in from about here to here, is going to be hidden behind smaller super tree material and other material. Same thing over here. I've got where my rock is. The rock's going to be visible, but behind trees, everything else, even though I got it colored, all that's going to be covered under ground cover. You're not going to see any of that. And then there's going to be trees. So I'm pretty happy with this. This is coming along well. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do today. It's a beautiful day here in Richmond. I'll probably work out in the yard this afternoon. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do more foam board. I think I'll continue along there and then get that other piece on the back side done, so I can kind of continue and work my way around the layout. Right in here, I'm thinking of still having sort of a bluff or a high point, a pinnacle come up, so that I can have a very short tunnel, maybe 8-10 inches at the most, kind of coming up through a big rock face right in here. Adds a little bit of visual interest. It's going to come in, go in through a tunnel, then it's going to come up to over to here, and then go into another tunnel, which again, just the way the geometry of the layout was, I had to do that to make it effective. But I think that could add some interest in here. I'm going to play with it anyway, and I'll see how that comes out. But more to come. Well, that looks better. Even before adding any ground cover, came back in with a little bit of acrylic paint just to kind of highlight on each side of that. Again, another partial fault line, crack through the ground here in the mountains. So I think it looks okay. And by the time I get ground foam on and scenery, we'll see how that turns out. And that, who knows? We'll see what I do today. But I'm sure by the end of the weekend, I'm probably going to have some ground cover in on at least this area here. Maybe. We'll see. So a few hours later, and the wood stain has dried. The smell in the garage is much better. So I am ready to start doing some other things. I do have a trip need to do to Home Depot. Get a couple of things, not layout related as such, but once I get done with that, I'm gonna be starting work again on this. So with the garage door open, you get a little bit of natural light in here. You can kind of see the trees better and how this is going to look on the backdrop. So I am starting to put ground cover in. You can see the white of the glue that is still pretty wet, and I will build up that more, put in some super tree material, and then I can start doing some other things here. But you know, it looks pretty good. I cut across and just look at the backdrop, and yeah, I like how that's looking. So late in the afternoon on Saturday, and I'm starting to get ground cover in this scene. So looking pretty good. Started kind of with the upper little gully. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put polyfiber on top to kind of hide the seam. I will glue it to this side, so this part of the module. Let it overhang here, and then when I build trees, I'll kind of finish off a lot of trees in this area, and then we'll finish the polyfiber partially. When the layout is separated next time, I will then come back in and finish the polyfiber that overhangs on this piece, just to make it look better, but that way I don't glue it to the layout. So I'm going to at least get started on that. This area down here, I'll have a variety of other things going on, including some trees, some little super tree material kind of coming up to sort of hide this, but not too much. We'll just kind of play that one by ear as I keep going here. So I'm enjoying it. It's a nice way to spend a late afternoon after being outside pretty much all day. So I think this segment's gonna wrap it up for this video here. It is Saturday night, and it's getting late, and I'm about ready to close up shop in the garage. But you can see how my deciduous forest is working on concealing that portal. Again, once I get everything done on the other side, it's gonna be dark. You might have a hint, but you know what? That's gonna work out okay. Yeah. I like that. I built a number of trees using seafoam. Had to straighten a bunch of them out using the hot soldering iron method, you know, where you touch it on the back side of a curve briefly and do it in a number of spots, and the seafoam will actually straighten out if it's too curved. But I like this. This is going to be okay. Next thing I will start to do, and you notice I didn't put the polyfiber on yet, be on the next one. And one of the things that I'm going to get started on, at least here soon, is I will take the tape off the track, and I will go in and I'll do my painting, at least on part of this, before it gets to the point where I've got too many trees and I can no longer get access to it, at least easily. I'll still be able to reach in if I've got a derailment, but to do fine painting, not so much. So anyway, that's gonna be it for this one. So take care and keep having fun on your layouts.